Roommate betrayal. I exposed him. I never imagined my final year at NUI Galway would erupt into a volcano of pure, white-hot rage. But there I was, staring at my laptop screen, my hands trembling as I replayed the recorded footage, the footage that would change everything. Caleb, my so-called best friend and roommate, had committed the ultimate betrayal. He'd stolen my final project, not just copied it, not just borrowed it, he'd brazenly walked into the dean's office, handed it over like it was his own creation, and walked out basking in undeserved glory. The nerve, it all started 2 weeks before our computer science capstone project was due. This wasn't some simple assignment. It was a complexity and model, a masterpiece I had poured months into perfecting. Caleb, on the other hand, was a perpetual slacker, barely scraping by, always mooching off others. And now, the moment I saw him presenting my work, standing in front of the entire faculty with a sickeningly fake air of confidence, I felt my blood boil. The sheer audacity of it. But the worst part, when I confronted the dean, the man had the unmitigated gall to brush me off. Unless you have solid proof, Vanessa, he said, his voice drooping with dismissiveness, I'm afraid we have to go by submission dates. Caleb submitted it first. Oh, I had proof. Sweet, delicious proof. A hidden camera, innocently installed in our dorm room after Caleb accidentally spilled coffee on my last project draft. He had no idea he was being watched. And now, I was about to unleash a nuclear-level revenge that would incinerate his entire academic career. Caleb had gotten away with it, or so he thought. I found him lounging on the couch, scrolling through his phone, utterly oblivious to the impending doom. Tough luck with the projects, huh? He sneered, a smug grin plastered across his face. Guess you should have submitted it sooner. I wanted to punch his stupid, self-satisfied face. My future job prospects potentially ruined, and yet here he was, acting like he'd done nothing wrong. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to remain calm. Losing my temper wouldn't help. I needed to be smart, ruthless. Wow, Caleb, I said, keeping my voice level. I didn't think you had it in you actually finishing a project for once. His smirk widened. What can I say? Hard work pays off. He had no idea I had video proof of him sneaking into my room, copying my files. He didn't know I had audio recordings of him bragging to his friends about outsmarting me. He didn't know I was about to make him the laughingstock of the entire university. Guess so, I said, a chilling smile playing on my lips. Hope you're ready for your big moment, because everyone's going to be watching. A flicker of confusion crossed his brow before he could ask what I meant. I grabbed my laptop and walked out. As much as I wanted to march into the dean's office right then and there and slam my laptop on his desk, I knew better. No, I needed to wait for the perfect moment to expose him, to dismantle his fraudulent success piece by piece. But waiting was torture. The next few days were agonizing, watching him soak up all the praise from professors and classmates because of my project. Meanwhile, I was left scrambling, fighting to prove my case before my own academic record took a hit. To make matters worse, when I tried to show my evidence to the dean again, he barely glanced at it. A personal camera in your dorm. That raises privacy concerns, Vanessa, he said, waving me off like an annoying fly. Are you kidding me? Even some of my friends doubted me. You guys were roommates. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Frustrated but determined, I decided to play the long game. I wouldn't just prove Caleb was a fraud and make sure his entire reputation came crashing down in front of everyone. I started by quietly gathering more evidence. Every tiny inconsistency in Caleb's knowledge of the project, every time he stammered when asked a technical question, I documented it. I even got a few professors to notice his vague, half-baked explanations. And then I waited, biding my time, because there was one upcoming event that would be Caleb's ultimate downfall. A final project presentation, in front of the entire department, students, faculty, and the industry professionals. That would be the perfect stage for his public humiliation. If Caleb wanted to steal my work and take credit for it, fine. Let him enjoy his stolen victory for a little while, because the higher he climbed, the harder he was going to fall. The final project presentation was just a week away, and I had one shot to make this work. If I failed, Caleb would graduate with stolen glory, land a high-paying tech job, and I'd be the one left behind, branded as a sore loser. So, I planned everything down to the last detail. Step 1, lull Caleb into a false sense of security. I needed him to feel completely untouchable. If he suspected I was plotting something, he'd get defensive. So, for the next few days, I acted defeated. I stopped bringing up the project. I avoided the dean's office. I even pretended to move on. You know what, Caleb, I don't even care anymore, I said, forcing a sigh. The smug look on his face, and I said that I knew I would cherish the moment I turned the tables. Step 2, set the trap. Caleb had no idea that while he was busy soaking up praise, I'd been fine-tuning my plan. I compiled all my evidence timestamp files, hidden camera footage, and metadata proving that I had created the project weeks before Caleb even touched it. I backed up everything across multiple devices, cloud storage, and even emailed a copy to myself. I also subtly tipped off a few trusted professors and students about Caleb's shaky knowledge of his project. Step 3. The kill shot. The night before the presentation, I made my final adjustment. Caleb had been using my stolen files to practice for the demo. What he didn't know was that I had coded in a hidden failsafe a message that would flash across the display. Error. Unauthorized user detected. Original creator. Vanessa, my last name. Oh, and did I mention I had secretly set up a live recording of the entire event? Tomorrow, Caleb would walk into that auditorium thinking he had one. He had another thing coming. The day of the final project presentation. The auditorium at NUI Galway was packed. Professors, students, even a few industry professionals had gathered to watch the best projects. Caleb was about to be the star of the show, or so he thought. I sat near the front, my laptop open, fingers poised to trigger the kill switch. I could see Caleb at the podium, looking confident, soaking in the attention. He was dressed sharper than usual, clearly relishing his moment in the spotlight. Next, we have Caleb O'Connor presenting his project, one of the most promising submissions, the professor announced. I couldn't wait to wipe that smug look off his face. He launched into his speech, going through the motions, explaining my work as if he had actually built it himself. This model was designed to analyze complex data sets with improved efficiency, utilizing a deep learning framework that I personally find every single word felt like a knife twisting in my gut. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. Caleb walked over to his laptop, connected it to the projector, and prepared to run the program. And now, I'll show you how my AI system processes real-time data, he said, his voice dripping with false pride. I pressed a button. Within seconds, lines of distorted text began flashing across the display. Caleb's confident expression faltered, but the damage was already done. My hidden message appeared on the massive auditorium screen. Error. Unauthorized user detected. Original creator. Vanessa, my last name. Silence. A deep, suffocating silence fell over the room. I watched as Caleb's face turned ashen. His hands hovered over the keyboard, frozen in disbelief. Caleb, what is this? The professor asked, his voice laced with suspicion. I don't know. It must be a bug. Caleb stammered, desperately trying to regain control. The audience was whispering now, murmurs of confusion spreading through the room. But I knew better. Caleb knows exactly what's happening, I said, my voice clear and unwavering. Because that program isn't his, it's mine. All heads turned towards me. Caleb looked like he was about to pass out. That's ridiculous, he snapped, his voice cracking. She's just bitter that my work is better. Funny, because I have video proof of you sneaking into my room and stealing my files. Should we watch it together? A collective gasp rippled through the room. The same dean who had ignored me before suddenly looked very interested. Caleb's entire body seemed to deflate. He opened his mouth to argue, but I cut him off. Actually, let's not waste time. I clicked another button on my laptop, and the hidden camera footage I had recorded started playing on the projector. The entire room watched, transfixed, as Caleb snuck into my room, plugged in the USB drive, copied my files, and then deleted the original from my computer. Completely undeniable. Caleb's face drained of all color. He looked like he was about to be sick. He stood there, his mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. He had no excuse, no backup plan. The room was dead silent, except for the faint audio from the video playing on the projected unmistakable sound of Caleb's nervous breathing. Then, as if the weight of the situation finally crashed down on his shoulders, he blurted out, "This isn't what it looks like," his voice cracking. The professor leading the presentation turned to him, his eyes narrowed. "O'Connor, what exactly does this look like?" "I was just borrowing her code to compare it to mine. I didn't steal anything." Funny how my version mysteriously disappeared from my laptop right after this borrowing happened, I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Caleb was spiraling. His eyes darted around the room, looking for support, but all he found was stares of disbelief. Even his friends shifted uncomfortably in their seats, avoiding eye contact. The dean cleared his throat. "Caleb, did you submit Vanessa's project as your own?" Caleb shook his head furiously. "No, I made my own adjustments. It's my own work. I did my own work." "Then you should have no problem answering some technical questions about it," Professor Barnes prompted Caleb. "Yeah, of course. What is the first question?" Caleb's face drained of color. "User, how about a specific algorithm I had implemented? A unique one, something that anyone who had built the project would know?" Caleb hesitated. "Well, it uses a neural network." "Yes, but what kind? Can you walk us through the function structure?" I watched as beads of sweat formed on his forehead. Caleb had been coasting on stolen credit for weeks, but now he was exposed. Finally, after an excruciating pause, he muttered, I don't remember the specific details." A few people actually laughed. "You don't remember the specifics?" the professor repeated, his voice laced with disappointment. "Or maybe it was never your work to begin with," I said flatly. The whispers in the audience grew louder. I saw a few students pulling out their phones, recording the spectacle. The industry professionals in the audience, who had previously been so impressed by Caleb's work, were now leaning forward, clearly interested in what I had to say. "Caleb, this is a serious academic violation," the dean said, his voice stern. "You'll need to come to my office immediately after this presentation." Caleb looked like a man on death row. Pure hatred burned in his eyes. "You set me up?" I just pressed play, I reply, a smirk playing on my lips. His face twisted in rage. But he had no comeback, no excuse, no escape. Satisfying. But I wasn't done yet. Not even close. Exposing him in front of the department was just the first act. I was about to destroy everything he had gained from my work. Caleb looked like he was about to pass out as the dean escorted him off stage. Before they could leave, I spoke up. "Actually, Dean, before you go, I think our guests on the tech industry might want to hear this." The industry recruiters, who had previously been so impressed by Caleb's work, were now leaning forward, clearly interested in what I had to say. Caleb here landed an interview with a top company based on his stolen project, and I think they deserve to know exactly who they almost hired. I smiled sweetly. "I just want to clarify that every single line of code in that project was written by me. Caleb didn't contribute a single thing. If you check the metadata of the files, the original timestamps will confirm it." One of the recruiters, a man in his 40s with sharp glasses, raised an eyebrow. "So, Caleb, let me get this straight," he said, his voice dripping with disappointment. "You applied for an industry job based on stolen work?" Caleb stammered, scrambling for an excuse. I was going to tell you." "Save it." The recruiter cut him off. "We don't hire thieves." Another recruiter, a woman in a sleek business suit, shook her head. "Integrity is everything in this industry. If you can't be trusted in university, you sure as hell can't be trusted in a company." The realization hit Caleb like a truck. His one golden ticket to a bright future had just been ripped to shreds. And just when he thought it couldn't get worse, the dean cleared his throat. "I will personally be reviewing this case with the University Ethics Board. Given the evidence, I expect Caleb's degree eligibility to be revoked immediately." Caleb physically staggered. "You can't do that. I worked for years for this degree. You should have thought about that before you stole someone else's work," I said coldly. His reputation was destroyed beyond repair. As he stood there, defeated and humiliated, he finally looked at me, pure hatred blazing in his eyes. I tilted my head, a knowing smile on my face. "You didn't call me a name when you were stealing my work." With that, I grabbed my laptop, walked off stage, and left him to rot in the mess he had created. In the aftermath, Caleb was expelled within a week. His name was blacklisted from multiple tech firms. Word spread fast, and by the time I checked social media, students were already posting memes about his downfall. I was allowed to resubmit my project and receive full credit. Last I heard, he had to move back home and take a dead-end retail job. I guess that's what happens when you mess with the wrong person. The moment I stepped out of that auditorium, I felt an immense wave of relief wash over me. The weight of Caleb's betrayal, the frustration of not being believed, all of it lifted. In the following days, the news of Caleb's downfall spread like wildfire. Students whispered about it in hallways. Professors shook their heads in disappointment. Social media, oh, it was brutal. Someone had recorded the entire confrontation and posted it on Twitter. The clip was blowing up. "Dude got exposed for stealing a project. Hope that retail job is treating you well. Can't imagine spending 4 years in uni just to get expelled for being a fraud." Couldn't be me. By the end of the week, Caleb had completely disappeared from campus. No one saw him packing up his stuff. No one heard from him. Meanwhile, my life took a complete 180. My project got the recognition it deserved. It didn't just pass. It was praised as one of the best in the department. Professors even recommended me for research opportunities and conferences. I landed a job offer Caleb would have killed for. Remember those industry recruiters who watched Caleb crash and burn? Well, one of them, a senior engineer at a top Dublin tech company, reached out to me. "We were impressed with your project, Vanessa. Would you be interested in an interview?" A month later, I was hired for the position Caleb had been bragging about before he got exposed. I upgraded my life completely with my new job. I moved out of student housing and into a modern apartment overlooking the city. No more dealing with backstabbing roommates. No more living in constant paranoia. I was finally free. So, tell me, based on everything you've heard, do you think I handled this situation correctly? Was my response justified? Or did I go too far? I'm genuinely curious to hear your perspectives and opinions. So please let me know what you think and don't hold back.